I'm the reason Robin Hood froze in 21. I turn red days green just to flex for fun. Hold account on calls, I don't hedge, I run. Diamond hands so cracked they could cut your thumb. Sip for a local while I chart this mess. Margin maxed out, still doubling the bet. Your TA's cute, but I'm reckless finesse. I treat the stock exchange like a Vegas roulette. YOLO, long, double down, feed the flame. Portfolio's a slot machine. I rig the game, every dip's a shot, every rip champagne. I'm the bull in the pit with the broke man's brain. Coke on the keyboard, Chick-fil-A on the screen. Scalping tendies off the market machine. Broker blowing on my phone like shadow the feed. But my calls print memes and the memes print green. I'm the IV spike that your grandma won't touch. The lotto ticket strike that pays too much. Let her burn cooking, I don't mind the crunch. Expiration Friday, I'm the Friday lunch. YOLO, long, double down, feed the flame. Portfolio's a slot machine. I rig the game, every dip's a shot, every rip champagne. I'm the bull in the pit with the broke man's brain. The broke man's brain. The broke man's brain. Tesla profit, degen slot junkie. I'm the liquidity leak, the drip too funky. Blow my gains on strippers, lose it back on Monday. But I'll reload the account like a clown on payday. Risk management's a joke, I don't tell. I'd rather 10x up than break even well. I'm the ape in the suit, I'm the market tail. Short squeeze symphony, ring the bell. YOLO, long, double down, feed the flame. Portfolio's a slot machine. I rig the game, every dip's a shot, every rip champagne. I'm the bull in the pit with the broke man's brain. Broke man's brain. Broke man's brain. If I had to break it down, the reasons why I stay awake. Number one's the endless cycle of the choices that I fake. Number five's a late night spiral, scrolling through my phone. And somewhere in the middle is the fear of being all alone. My calendar's a battle zone, my coffee's gone cold, and my dreams feel like a sweater that's unraveling with holes. It's like a freight train slamming on a rickety track, or a kite in a hurricane that won't come back. I'm stuck, I'm strung out, I'm a little offbeat, but I'm still tapping my feet. Yeah, I'm still tapping my feet. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out. Got a letter from my landlord saying rent's overdue, and the fridge is humming louder than a midnight blues tune. I've been patching all the cracks with the roll of duct tape, but the walls are caving in and I can't escape. Every word that I whisper grows into a roar. I'm a ship without a captain, headed straight for the shore. It's like a parachute pack with a hole in the seams, or a firework fizzling before it gleams. I'm afraid I'm faded, I'm a little off key, but I'm still humming my dream. Yeah, I'm still humming my dream. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep stress of these tangled up days. I don't need perfection, just a second to breathe. A little bit of hope is all I really need. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out. I'm gonna scream until my lungs give out. Live a little louder, make it count. I'll keep pushing till the walls come down. I won't let go, I won't back out.
Oh, brother, oh, brother, oh, brother. Let's put a pause on that for a second. Folks, I'm feeling pretty fucking good right now. You might be thinking to yourself, Matt, why the green glasses? Why the protective eyewear? And the answer to that is because I am one rich motherfucker. So as you guys have been knowing, if you're watching the live show, the update videos, especially if you're in the training Discord, you know that I had a rough-ish summer. I would say July and most of August was pretty brutal, which is unique because my history in trading, that's actually a strong period for me. But this is the first year in about 5 that I was not on it. So I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of deep psychiatry work. And by that, I mean, I screamed endlessly, multiple hours, just in the shower, crying, weeping. You're supposed to have potential. I just flail about in my just small standing shower, just bouncing off the walls. And the only thing there to really comfort me was my own tears. That's the only thing I really had for a bit there. And after going through a couple bouts and potentially severing my last tie to reality, I decided to do what any good trader would do. And instead of looking deep inside and re-evaluating my plan and my risk management, I lashed out. And I decided to just go on tilt and rip it. And I figured, fuck it, man. If Icarus could fly into the sun, so could I. And at minimum, I would have the benefit of the beautiful descent. But folks, I'm here to let you guys know that we're getting closer to the sun. The wax has not burned off my feathers because we are still going. Heading into today, your boy's ripping it on the S&P 500. $46,000 there. As you guys know, in Tesla, at the conclusion of yesterday, I was already up 17K. That's when Tesla freaking closed out at 459. It's currently trading at 476. Folks, if you ever wondered why the Grand Canyon exists, it's because your boy tripped and fell and my nutsack hit the ground. I don't know what else to tell you, folks. Your boy's about to be ripping 100K day. It's 100K day, and it's just finally in this world, able-bodied, affluent, Christian, heterosexual white men finally can take a step ahead. Finally, my tribe, my group of people can finally take a step ahead in this world. You know, growing up in a loving family, great sister, great parents, all the love in the world, super supportive, super safe. I just grew up in too much of a balanced world. And my struggle was that I had no struggles. If I wanted something, I got it. Beautiful girlfriend, valedictorian in the class, star of the soccer team. Everything, my struggle in this world was that I had no struggle. Everything just always turned up, Matt. And honestly, as maybe some of you in here can identify, just when life is always going perfectly well for you because it's so fucking easy, sometimes that in itself becomes its own struggle. And that's what I've been battling with. Like my biggest misstep in life is that everything in life has gone so incredibly well. Like, how does a human overcome that? It's an uphill battle. I honestly feel like Atlas just keeping the world on my back, and it can't identify. It's just like, I don't know, man. When you're this good looking, when you're this rich, when you're this white, when you're this male, when you have it's just always turning up for me. And I'm not here to complain. I'm not here to look for your well wishes. I know many of your hearts are probably bursting right now thinking, man, how does one man carry so much weight? And I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for your words of admirations, your well wishes. We all have our own luggage. We all have our own baggage. And I know we have that saying of like, the grass always appears greener on the other side. And I wanted to let you guys know that my grass, maybe not as green as you thought. Maybe it's so incredibly neon bullish green that in itself becomes a problem, you know? Dude, what a fucking douchebag way to start a stream. We have fun here. We're having fun. I have to tell myself that just so I can remember myself. Well, anyway, folks, I hope you were having a very, very good Thursday morning. I hope you were able to get your coffee, maybe your second cup, maybe even your third cup. I hope you were fortunate enough to swing your positions overnight, especially if you were bullish. And maybe even if you didn't, I hope you locked in a lot of attendees, a lot of gains yesterday. Folks, it's going to be a good Thursday. It is October the 2nd. We are the second day into the government shutdown. And unlike the government, we work regardless. We're here. We're here showing up regardless. Homeless Matt with that shirt. Hey, shut up, Alfred. Hey, Alfred, why don't you take your mouth and you shut up when you're talking to me? Folks, I hope you're having a good one. We have some stuff to break down related to the overall market, to the government shutdown, and then we have some individual equity news that I want to get into. Of course, we're going to be talking about Tesla, the delivery numbers. We're going to be talking about OpenAI and their recent evaluation. And actually, before Tesla exploded this morning, fun fact, at market close yesterday, Elon Musk on paper was worth $500 billion. He's the first person in recorded history to be worth that much. I say that because we know there's people who have far more wealth than him, but it's not publicly reported. So in terms of people who publicly have to report their wealth because it's basically just equity in a company, Elon Musk absolutely ripping. So we're going to be chit-chatting a little bit about that. We have some interesting call sheet numbers. I have some signups to show to you guys with that code Goonie. We're going to be doing some market breakdowns. We're going to have some chit-chats about what's happening with the gamma levels, because we're getting pretty close to a level where we could just really tilt into negative gamma on the bullish side, which sets up an interesting gamma squeeze perspective. It's been a hot minute since the overall market had a 2-3% gain day, and I'm not saying it's going to happen today. There is quite a wall on SPX built up at 6,750 and 6,765. But in the weird event we're able to crack those levels today, which is a low likelihood to be honest, but in a weird event that we can, we might be talking about tilting all the way up to 6,800, which is only 169 points away from 6,969. And at that point, I think that's when the Mayan calendar, whatever that fucking circle is going to turn the right way, and then the world's going to implode. So until then, let's see how close we can get to the sun. Hope you guys are having a good one. Let me get ripping with all of this today. S&P 500 futures rise as investors look past government shutdown. Also, Tesla reports 497,000 vehicle deliveries, which is up way more than expected. They expected it around, some people said 63, some people said 68. So that's coming in almost 30,000 more. So no surprise that Tesla is up quite a bit. Obviously, we will be circling back to that, but there are other things we should take a little looky-see at. SPY gapping up to a new all-time high. Qs gapping up to a new all-time high. Russell, no one apparently gives a shit about small cap anymore. We were back into the world of major blue chip stock plays. Tesla ripping like no other. Palantir looking good. Nvidia looking great. Hut looking good. Oklo looking good. CoreWeave looking good. Microsoft looking good. Apple doing nothing. Hood, nice recovery. You have Bitcoin, actually. I forgot. By the way, also, if you're in crypto, you're probably worth a lot more from last night to this morning. You might want to take a little looky-see at the cryptosphere. So across the board, here's the TLDR of the show. The bulls are in control. If you are coming into today with a bearish mindset, you're probably wrong. And you've been wrong since April. So maybe stop. Because remember, when the overall market hits new highs, the statistics tell us it is more likely to hit another new high than to mean revert. New highs beget new highs. Fading overall market highs is a stupid play. Now, if you're taking that personally, it's probably because you came in today and it's like, it's so high, we're so overvalued, government shutdown, this, that, the other thing. And remember, none of us are good enough at interpreting news to understand how the market's going to react to it. Because not only do you have the binary event of trying to predict what the news is going to be, but then from there, you're trying to also, on top of that, predict how the market is going to react to said news. And right there, all of a sudden, as you add in more and more variables, folks, don't try to interpret news as bullish or bearish. Just read the price action. What's price structure doing? Are we trending up? Are we trending down? What's momentum doing? Are we trending up? Are we trending down? Look at options flow. Look at the things you can empirically measure because price is truth. That's what you care about. If you're the person trying to be fancy and be like, this is the top, man, it's just, if you do it, it's going to work rarely. It's not worth it in the long run. Ride the trend. Use whatever your favorite trend identification analysis is. Identify the trend, ride the trend. If your perception of the trend is up, great. Ride it until the trend breaks down. Not until you think news is going to make it break down. Not until you're betting on a binary event. That's a very, very silly thing to do. Keep it simple, stupid. Ride the trend. If it's up, it's up. Ride the trend. If it's down, it's down. Let's try to not overcomplicate any of this. But yes, we are gapping up to new all-time highs. And I guess the market loves the fact that the government is not doing their job, not that they really did their job to begin with. Trump raises stakes for GOP in shutdown with layoff threats. So it's basically there's going to be a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people furloughed and potentially hundreds of thousands of people losing their job. Here's what Bloomberg had to say.
Yeah, let's get you the latest on the U.S. government shutdown and the Trump administration moving quickly to capitalize on the situation by shrinking the size of the federal workforce.
There are unfortunate consequences to a government shutdown, and the federal government is not receiving any cash at the moment. And so the Office of Management and Budget has been tasked with looking over the receipts and looking over the budget of the entire federal bureaucracy. And as the vice president said, determining what needs to continue to go out the door and what can we continue to keep running and what unfortunately is going to have to come to an end. So those decisions are being made. And unfortunately, layoffs are very likely, as the vice president just said, going to be a part of that.
For more, let's bring in our Congress reporter, Caitlin Riley in Washington. So, Caitlin, day one of the shutdown, we look like we're headed towards mass firings?
Mass firings.
Yes, that's correct. As you heard the press secretary say earlier today, the administration is moving forward with firings. We knew that was a threat heading into this. We had seen agencies shut down plans in the days leading up to this, and they hadn't included any firings, but now we know that those are in fact coming, which we heard from the press secretary. And you're seeing kind of an escalation of tactics from the Trump administration as this shutdown drags on beyond the first day.
We also heard about President Trump freezing federal funding for New York, not to mention also withdrawing some projects when it comes to those states that voted for Kamala Harris. We are hearing about criticisms of using the government shutdown as a pretext for culture wars at this point.
All right, I can tell you where it's going to go from here. It's getting into a little bit more of like, okay, this is all a bigger thing. Is he restructuring more of the government workforce to be loyalists, or is it this standstill? And obviously, that's more of the political side, and whatever political side you identify with, you're probably going to trust that one a bit more. But what's interesting for us, the economy and the stock market, is really how long is this going to last? And right now, according to Kohrs, the line in the sand where the betting market is at is 12 and a half days, obviously bringing us to mid-October. If you are looking at Poly Market, the odds of 15 days or later once again, a little bit more than call sheet. That's the highest odds, currently 36%. The next one is slightly below that, 10 to 14 days, October 10th to the 14th, 32%. So between those two, it's basically saying there's a 68% chance that at minimum we're going to be shut down until October 10th. That's the current betting markets. And just so you know, Polymarket call sheet, oddly good. The high odds situations, whether it's shutdowns, elections, this, that, the other thing, very, very good. When people are putting their money on the line in these event-based contracts, it seems as if they are commonly spot on. Now, are they doing research? Do they have an inside track? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But as of right now, that's going to have big implications. Big implications. Treasury Secretary Bissett says U.S. GDP could take a hit from the shutdown. Now, remember, circa 2018 into 2019 was the last major government shutdown, and we were shut down, I want to say mid 30 days. I think I want to say 34 days, maybe 37 days. That actually for that quarter had a hit to the GDP of 0.4%. So the longer this lasts, yes, the economy, especially via the lens of GDP, gross domestic product, can take a hit, but it's all going to get more extreme the longer it lasts. So if it's resolved this week, next week, whatever, all of a sudden if we're talking about November, that's where things could definitely become problematic. And in a certain sense, they're already becoming problematic. Earlier this week, the Sunday update video, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when I showed you the things to pay attention to, today, Thursday was there. Thursday, October the 2nd, at one point was on the screen, and we were supposed to get initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. ET. As you could tell, it's no longer on the list, and we didn't get those numbers because the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a government entity, is in fact shut down. Also, you're going to notice that tomorrow, Friday, October the 3rd, we were supposed to get the unemployment numbers. We were supposed to get non-farm payrolls, but the fact that the BLS is shut down means we are not getting those. So, of course, if the government reopens, we might be getting those, but it doesn't look like it's going to be reopening today, which is making the whole thing a little bit more difficult for the Fed. The government shutdown is likely to cement an additional Fed interest rate cut. So the one thing we've been chit-chatting a little bit about here is without those numbers, remember when it comes to the Fed, they have a dual mandate. One side, they care about inflation. The other side, they care about the job market. We are not getting the job numbers, and that, depending on how long this does or doesn't last, the next FOMC meeting, which is where the Fed decides what to do with interest rates, is October 29th. Now, as of right now, the market is 99% sure that we will be getting another 25 bips rate cut. But I have to admit, it seems like a pretty difficult job when you're not getting the numbers that you need to be getting to make these type of massively impactful decisions. Remember, not just impactful to us, literally to the globe. The globe is denominated in the US dollar, which has been vomiting recently as yields has been coming down. And right here, when the Fed is cutting rates, that's going to have huge implications. So there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of uncertainty, which is part of the reason why gold and silver and now even Bitcoin are going sky high. Another aspect to throw in here, Fed finally gets some backup in lonely fight to stave off Trump. So remember, Lisa Cook right here is getting accused of basically mortgage fraud, alleged mortgage fraud. As people are looking more and more into it, they're realizing that Bill Pulte, the guy who is part of the administration that kind of started all this, they're starting to realize that he's actually completely full of shit. And my big guess right here is that he's going to end up getting fired. It turns out the information he has, not interpreted well, and then some of the other information he acquired in a way in which you wouldn't be able to use it in court anyway. And a further deep dive into him, as like the court system is looking at it, they're realizing that what Lisa Cook did is basically not going to get her in trouble. I'm not saying this definitively. Of course, I am not a lawyer. I've only watched some of the seasons of Suits, but you should know it is more likely than not that Lisa Cook is going to be A-OK, and Bill Pulte, the member of the administration, who is basically just a second-generation Nepo baby who's as dumb as a fucking box of rocks, is, well, once again, that's what happens when a dumb person gets political power. They do dumb people things. And my guess here is that when this all plays out, and it's going to be like oddly delayed, but by the time it's oddly played out, I think he's going to end up getting fired. I think Trump's going to say, nope, you're stupid. We don't want stupid people in the administration. But anyway, she's going to be able to keep her job, and then there's going to be oral arguments or a discussion of sorts in January of 2026. So we know at least up until then, unless something dramatic changes, that she's going to be keeping her job. Supreme Court lets Fed Governor Lisa Cook keep job pending January oral argument. So a lot of the information is out there. And a lot of people, even on the right side, they're looking at Bill and they're saying, you're such an asshole. And it's even to the point, I'm not saying at all this is why they got into a fight, but remember that story I covered with the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent? He almost beat the shit out of Bill at a dinner. Trust me when I say this, even the administration, the people in the closest orbit to the president do not like this guy at all. They do not like this guy at all. And this is just another example of why you really don't want dumb people involved. Very quickly moving it over to individual equities. I just had some interesting news. Berkshire Hathaway to buy Occidental Chem for $9.7 billion in Buffett's biggest deal in 3 years. He's been loading up on the stock since 2021, 2022. No surprise that he is now just straight up buying a portion of it out. OpenAI's valuation soars to $500 billion, topping Musk's SpaceX. OpenAI is ripping. OpenAI wraps a $6.6 billion share sale at $500 billion valuation. This company is not even publicly traded and it's worth $500 billion. Absolutely crazy. And it makes sense. I mean, AI is the thing right now.
Bloomberg has learned that ChatGPT maker OpenAI has completed a deal at a valuation of $500 billion, making it the world's most valuable startup. Now, for more, let's bring in our Bloomberg's deal reporter, Manuel Baigori. Manuel, so good morning, first of all. Give us the details of that share sale.
$500 billion.
Hello, Francine. Yeah, fantastic deal, right? A remarkable valuation, $500 billion, becoming the world's largest startup right there. I mean, we've seen a number of secondary transactions in some of the most fashionable tech companies these days. There is a lot of pent-up demand from investors to jump into the bandwagon. And at the same time, these companies need big liquidity events to try to reward and retain talent. And that's what we're seeing right now, right? Like current and former employees sold $6.6 billion worth of stock in OpenAI, and that provides liquidity to them. It's also a way not only to reward some of that, but also to try to retain some of that talent. Let's bear in mind that this has
Right there, I think that's the important part, is retaining the talent. So part of why they're allowing a little bit of sales is because, remember, specifically being led by Meta, but you're seeing it elsewhere as well. There's a huge, it's borderline. You're getting high-level sports contracts for some of the best AI developers, engineering within that world. So just to try to keep them there rather than getting poached by Meta or Oracle or Microsoft or really anyone else in this particular game. So OpenAI becoming officially, as of now, the most valuable startup. But what's interesting about the $500 billion valuation is it means Elon himself could theoretically just purchase it. Elon Musk just became the first person ever worth $500 billion. This was as of market close yesterday, which means as of right now, he's worth about 2.6% more than that. So this was yesterday. So he's now worth many billions more. So congrats to him. But also I should say that he's not the first person ever. He's the first person publicly reporting, but that's just because the way in which he accrued his wealth. Obviously, equity in a publicly traded company, we can know where he's at because it's publicly recorded how many shares he owns. We can all do the math of it. But he's not the first person ever. As of right now, it is assumed that there are probably various people or families on this planet worth trillions of dollars. And I'm kind of looking at Putin over in Russia, some of the oligarchs over there, and also looking at some of the oil money, the Saudis, those families. But remember, none of that stuff is publicly reported. There's no government or legal mechanism in which they are forced to report their wealth. So I see what they're going for here. It's a good headline, but just so you guys know, he's the richest person who's forced to report their wealth, but he's definitely not the richest person ever. So just want to throw that out there. And obviously, as we already talked about, the number came in way higher than expected. Some people were looking at the 440s. Other people were looking at 460s. Tesla deliveries just came out coming in at the 490s, way higher than expected. And that's exactly why Tesla stock is up so much in pre-market trading. Clearly, we'll be watching that throughout the day. I'm a happy clam because I have that play. I was already up about 103% going into market close yesterday. I'm excited to see where that opens up today. And also just to let you know, I have quite a bit of a position in the overall market as well. So I am long SPY, Qs, SPX, Tesla, CoreWeave, Oklo, and Palantir. Those are my current live positions. And on that note, let me get ready As the market is opening, of course, I will be letting you guys know the key levels throughout the day. Let me just quickly get over to this. We don't want to miss any of the action. Thanks, Matt, for your insight in explaining things so well. It helped me out tremendously. Gypsy Blues. More than happy to. That's very, very kind. Very, very kind. All right, we have 1 minute to go, so let me just show you the key levels of the day. As of now, we are anticipating opening up at 6,730, roughly where my cursor is here. We have resistance 5 points above, and then the real resistance at 750 and 65 up here. And then if we get clocked, if we have profit taking out of the gate, there's a downside gap fill to 6718, and then there's some support between there and 6711, and then here's the transition zone. So obviously, I am bullishly biased. If you're bearish, you're going to be wanting to focus on the levels down here. If you're bullish, you're going to be wanting to focus on the levels up here. And I'm telling you, 6765 is going to be incredibly important. It is the largest positive gamma of the day. If the bulls can break that, man, oh man, do we have a fun session in store. But I should also let you know it's going to be incredibly difficult to snap that level of resistance. So I just wanted to call that out to everyone. Dingity ding ding ding. The world's largest casino is now open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly, and if not, have fun. To literally no one's surprise whatsoever, we're already getting profit taking out of the gate. Like I said, at this point, if you've watched this show at all, you should be trained enough to anticipate that. Big gap ups, people like to take their profits at open, especially when there's a downside gap fill. Once again, the downside gap fill is to yesterday's high value, which is also the market's all-time high, which is 6718. If you want to play that, have at it. It's not quite my style because I don't want to fade the overall market. Even though the odds of this getting hit are high, it doesn't necessarily mean it's high out of the gate. We could pump first and then hit it. So that's why I'm not playing it. I play it on other days when we're not at records, whether high or low. But I just want to let you know that you shouldn't be surprised about profit taking. At this point, we talk about it, we see it. There's no reason to be surprised there. If anything, what I'd be looking for, I wouldn't mind if we get a gap fill right out of the gate, like right here, right now. Just get that fill, clean up the chart, create that base, and then give us the opportunity to take out 3-5, and then we could start the serious battle at 750 and 765. So I wouldn't mind it. I mean, part of me almost thinks, should I take my profits now, wait for that to hit, and then I could reestablish my position because I'm starting to run out of time a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. Here's my Tesla position. Opening up, that's a nice gain right there, 21,000. It was a bit better, obviously, because we're now at 68. At one point, we were at 78, almost pushing 80. So I'm still riding that. SPY catching a bit of a bid. Tesla, we have some profit taking. How are other things looking? Tesla's up 1.7%. HUT is up 2.6%. How's that looking? HUT kind of riding with overall crypto right now. NVIDIA is up as well. That's a new record high on NVIDIA, up about 1.9%. Oklo, it's up from the post-market, pre-market session, overnight session, but not doing much intraday. CoreWeave, similar situation. Coin is up 3.5%. It's catching a bid. Hood popped, giving a little bit back. Apple, mini gap up there. NVIDIA is looking strong. Palantir was strong. That got hit. So NVIDIA is looking strong. We still have profit taking right here in real time on Tesla. What is the downside gap fill? Downside gap fill on Tesla is yesterday's high of 462. So this pre-market high was all the way up at 479. So 65, 70, these are some interesting levels. I'm hoping the profit taking stops, but remember, you never know. Like, you just can't be in control of what in the world other people are going to do. So I'm hoping we don't have that many paper-handed people involved in the Tesla play, but we will be finding out shortly. I'm attempting to do my best to not really do any trades right at market open, this point of volatility. I just don't find there to be much of an edge trading at this part of the day, like right out of the gate. It's one thing if you're doing a little mini scalp here or there, something like that. But for me, especially as it comes to my swing plays, I'm just not really doing anything there. Of course, throughout the day, we'll be able to check in on the options flow. Let me get rid of this. We just hit whatever today's intraday high is going to be the all-time high. Just so everyone knows. We did this. All right, I'm trying to get the flow. The flow took a little bit of a hit in this morning, gathered itself about a minute into the day, got a nice pop. That's the S&P 500. Here's a look at the Mag 7. Mag 7, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute. Okay, that's all bullish. Like I said, today is the alt. All right, let's do this. I just want to mark out this bar breakdown. Yeah, we're still getting kind of that anticipated profit taking, and the question is how long is it going to last? And it's frustrating for sure, but also like it makes sense. Especially a lot of these large traders, when you wake up to gigantic gains out of nowhere, I don't think it should be that surprising that they're like, okay, yeah, just risk management, we got to lock some in. So not the most surprising. What I'm finding surprising is how much better the SPY is doing relative to the Qs. It looks like something in the tech sector has to be getting beaten up. It's not Microsoft. It's not really Apple. It's not NVIDIA. So it's not the top three. Meta's been on a downturn recently. The daily chart not looking so good. It must be the cumulative effect of the smaller guys in the Nasdaq, because we're seeing the SPY and the Qs do something very, very different from each other. And it is not the big guys. It is not NVIDIA. It is not Microsoft. It is, well, Apple's starting to take a little bit of a hit, but NVIDIA and Microsoft are the biggest ones. Meta's looking fine. What tech name is puking right now? It's not Meta. Avago took a hit, and it's weighted decently, but it stopped puking. What? Tesla? So maybe the impact of Tesla and Avago, but really, I mean, that seems dramatic to me. Because remember, based on weight, NVIDIA is going to be the biggest, and then Microsoft, and those two are actually looking pretty fine. Then you have Apple, which isn't looking so. So I guess the combination of Apple, not even Meta anymore, Apple, Broadcom, and Tesla together are undoing the positive effects of Microsoft and NVIDIA is probably what we're seeing. So a little bit of just a mathematical sleight of hand there, but let's see how it plays out. Manipulation. It's not manipulate. Everyone loves to scream manipulation, and they don't even know what they mean by manipulation. That's just something people like to scream when a trade isn't going their way. That's such a classic retail trading mindset. If something isn't going your way, you scream manipulation. If it is going your way, no, that's what it should be doing anyway. Netflix is getting hit, but it's not. Remember, it's based on weight. They're not all weighted the same in the SPY and the Nasdaq and that stuff. Netflix isn't that high in the list. But back to this manipulation thing. That it's almost to be expected at this point in the world of retail. Is if it's something doesn't go their way, nope, it's manipulation. But if it does go their way, oh, that's exactly how it should have gone. And it's, I don't know, at a certain point, it's kind of silly. Like, no, just take some self-ownership and realize that. Sometimes people choose to aggressively sell. Sometimes people choose to aggressively buy. And I don't know. There's many good things that came out of that period of GameStop and AMC and all that. But then there's also some like noteworthy bad things. And that is one of the noteworthy bad things for sure, is that people just generically believe there's these entities manipulating the market against retail traders. When in reality, if you think about it for 4 seconds with like a lucid mind, you're going to realize that retail traders together make up such a small part of Wall Street that they don't give a shit. It's these titans, it's these sharks against other sharks. They don't like just retail in any individual equity. It's way too small of a thing to consider. It's just not even worth it. Like to them, it's just, oh, okay, whatever, retail's doing retail things. No, it's manipulation. Oh, okay, maybe. Pirates doing those ladder attacks again. Yeah, I mean, think about that. For one point in time, people deeply believed that short ladder attacks were a real thing. And then you're like, what is a short ladder attack? And they're like, well, it's this thing where you short it and then you buy it back lower and then you short it and then you buy it back lower and you just keep forcing it down and down and down. And they just sound like fucking idiots because they're literally just making stuff up. They're just dipshits. And it's the human condition, people very much want explanations for why things are not going as well as they anticipate they should be going. Tesla very rapidly giving back the gains. It's still technically green on the day relative to yesterday, but it is rapidly giving back those gains. So hopefully this profit taking stops soon. And I'm saying profit taking, but let's see. Let's fact check me. Yep, right here. You could see it. No one is touching puts. They're selling calls, and they're specifically selling calls for this Friday. So there must have been a lot of people who were playing tomorrow's expiration, and that's when this green line is. It's tomorrow's expiration on Tesla. You can see that all that positive delta is being lost. It started about 1 minute into the day, and that is almost perfectly aligned with this drop off. So basically, the hope here for someone like me, where I have more time, is I'm hoping that this profit taking literally just stops. It is not people betting against Tesla. It is people most likely locking their money in on Tesla. You can't say that with 100% certainty because you have to see how the open interest change. Are you selling calls to open or selling calls to close? My assumption is that they're selling them to close, and it's probably accurate. But just to be mathematically clear here, you cannot be definitively sure of that until the end of the day and you see like the net change of the situation. But I would say with high accuracy, that is profit taking, and they're not selling calls to open a position. They're probably selling calls to close out a position. Someone is saying cancel Netflix. I think that's dramatic. You know, every single time people are trying to say cancel Netflix, how does it really work? You know, we heard it before with the whole password sharing crackdown. Like, whatever. If you don't want to watch certain content, guess what? You don't have to watch it. If you don't want your kids watching content, guess what? Be a parent and stop them from watching it. This idea that Netflix as a company is the parent, folks, that you're basically arguing against free speech. No one is forcing you to watch shit. There are many, many shows in this world that I don't watch, but then yet I'm not doing it. It's not dramatic. It's dramatic if you just don't want to be a parent. You should be in control of what your kids are consuming. It's not that hard. Be a parent. Maybe instead of blaming a corporation, you should look at you and your spouse and be better parents. Like, Netflix is a hardcore leftist propaganda. Then don't watch it. Do you think, are you really arguing that every show on Netflix is hardcore leftist propaganda? Because if so, that's the dumbest shit ever. True that, Matt. Dropped all streaming service. Yeah, no one is forcing you to watch it. They produce gross shit. Okay. Once again, be a parent. No one is forcing you to watch it. Guess what? Maybe you don't like the NFL. Are you going to be like, everyone should cancel the NFL? If you don't like the NFL, don't watch the NFL. If you don't like baseball, don't watch baseball. It's really not that hard. It's like other people like watching it. You don't have to watch it because other people watch it. Like, I think this whole thing, this push right here, it's just parents who don't want to be parents. They don't want to be in control of what in the world is going on. Netflix sucks. All good. Do you? That's exactly my point. You get to do what you want. No, surprisingly, no one is forcing you to watch it. Canceling my service isn't against free speech. Yeah, no shit. But people saying that they shouldn't be able to produce it or shouldn't be able to air it is against free speech. Shut your mouth. Everyone likes NFL. Yeah, no, we have to watch the NFL. All right, we got the downside gap fill on the SPY, and we got the downside gap fill on SPX. Let's see if this region can hold. So we're at the first region of support on the day. Here, I'll go into the 1 minute. We basically took a hit. We were flat starting at 937. We started to unwind a little bit, but we did clean up the chart. Both SPX and SPY hit their downside gap fill. Just so you know, the Qs haven't, but they're about to. Do not be surprised about this. This was fully predicted beforehand. Yeah, take ownership. I'm still not drinking Bud Light. Yeah, and there's a big difference between you not wanting to drink Bud Light and thinking that Bud Light has the right to make beer. If they want to make it and sell it, and if people want to buy it, have at it. You don't get to like dictate what other people do for business if it's like within the legal bounds. Like, I don't know, grow up. I see just a lot of fucking people complaining when in reality it just sounds like they don't want to be like active parents monitoring what their kids consume. You have the right. If your kids want to consume it and if you think it's appropriate, have at it. But also as a parent, if you don't think it's appropriate, then don't let them do it. Boycotting is the answer. You could boycott. For sure. And I guess that's the beauty of capitalism, is if enough people do it, it would force them to change their ways. But also with a boycott, you're going to find out very rapidly if you're in the majority or not. You're going to very rapidly find out if you're in the majority. And I don't know. We'll see. How can you know anything about parenting? Because I have a functioning brainstem? Are you stupid? How can you know anything about parenting? That's like saying, how could you know anything about the NFL, but you've never played in the NFL? How can you know anything about books if you've never written a book? How can you know anything about computers if you've never built a computer? What? Because? Are you fucking retarded? That might take the cake of the dumbest comment of the week. Okay. That makes sense. Wow. That we have some genius commentary over here on Rumble this morning. Genius commentary. How can you know anything about it whatsoever? It's so stupid. Wow. What a fucking dumbass. How can you know anything about anything if you've never known anything about anything? That's a fair point. If you become a parent, you'll feel dumb about this? Probably not. I think I'll feel pretty confident about my overall statement that you should be an active parent and not let a corporation raise your kids. Maybe AI will grow to such a level that one day I'll look back on this and I'll be like, you know what? Corporations should raise my kids. But for now, I think I'm going to sit pretty confident in my statement of you should raise your kids. And hey, I'm open to being proven wrong. Maybe one of you in here has an argument and you're like, you know what, Matt? This is why I think corporations should raise my kid. I'm willing to hear you out. I'm willing to consume the argument. I'm willing to look at the data and the trends. But I have a very, very strong suspicion that in the event that I become a parent, that I'll still assume that I should raise the kid rather than a corporation. But maybe Netflix should raise my kid. Maybe Walmart should raise my kid. Maybe auto parts should raise my kid. I don't know. You never know, folks. You never ever know. Cracker Barrel actually has a really strong argument for raising a kid. Matt's backpedaling. I feel like I'm quadrupling down. I feel like I'm absolutely quadrupling down here of how stupid this is. I mean, I guess to each their own. If you're a parent, you get to decide how you raise your kids. And I, for one, would not think that a corporation is the best opportunity. Daryl knows AutoZone. It does feel like AutoZone would be a pretty solid parent. It really does. I'm with Daryl on this one. All right. Anyway, did Tesla finally bottom out? No, not really. It maybe is attempting to show a little bit of bottoming after about 15 minutes of profit taking, but we are not seeing that uptrend quite yet. The S&P 500 is actually looking exactly like Tesla. Here's a look at the Mag 7. I'll split it up. A little bit of put buying, but if anything, you are getting really calls just getting locked in from 9:35 to 9:45, 10 minutes of profit taking across the Mag 7. Looking at the S&P 500, actually, interestingly enough, on the S&P 500, it is puts. People are buying puts, maybe buying to open, maybe buying to close. I don't know. But on the S&P 500, the combination of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES, calls are going flat. And it was put. So we're seeing a little bit of a important nuance, but yet important difference between the S&P 500 and what we're seeing in the tech sector. S&P 500, people were probably playing the downside gap fill. and they bought puts. Boom, got their gap fill, ran it to a key level, and now we're seeing a little bit of a bounce. So it kind of makes sense when you think about it right here. This drift to the downside, it was put purchasing. They started it at 937, and they started to take their profits at 945. The light blue line are 0 DTE puts, and they basically rode it down to the downside gap fill and then said, okay, we're good. So no one really touching the calls yet. But then looking at the Mag 7, a little bit of a different story. And I mean, completely the different story. That is calls. And interestingly enough, for the Mag 7, the green line is the next expiration, as in tomorrow. So for those guys, basically from 931 until now, that's a lot of profit taking. And then for longer expiration, 935 to about 945. So some profit taking and a little bit of bearish bets across the Mag 7, while on the SPY, it was actual bearish bets to play for that downside gap fill. And it just took a hit now. So we definitely went flat, down, lower lows, lower highs. The Qs just got their downside gap fill. So maybe this is the relief point. This is kind of what I was looking for to play out. Was we cleaned up the chart. The chart is officially clean. Now, just because it's clean, it doesn't mean we have to bounce. But people playing for those downside gap fills, it wouldn't be so surprising if they're short, and then thus they have to buy to close out their position. So the SPY already getting its downside gap fill. The Q's already getting its downside gap fill. This is the first point in the day that if we were to see like a rebound, this is kind of my anticipation of where the first attempt would be. The first attempt would be. And we are not seeing it quite yet. That delta is still getting very beat up. No one's really betting against the SPY, though. I find that interesting. They did buy puts. I'm curious if this is going to be the low right here. Got the downside gap fill. SPY overshot it a little bit. The Qs just got their downside gap fill. And we are in this area of support between 6718 and 6711 right here. I wonder if we can hold this. I wonder. And maybe it's just a little bit of a double bottom. Maybe we're going for a W. You don't know until after it happens. If I show, like, based on the information right now, 20 minutes from now, if we double bottom, everyone's going to be like, oh, that was such an evident double bottom. However, if we puke, everyone's going to be like, yeah, lower highs, lower lows. Yeah, we were just puking. We were downtrending. So two opposite directions that look, oh, wow, the exact same. You don't know. Could be a double bottom. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. That got hit. Nvidia's getting hit. Tesla. Hopefully that profit taking is over. I'm watching this recent high around 947 to see if we could take that out. That's where I'd be interested in a potential switch. Just to show you guys, I haven't traded on any of these today. Actually, in fact, want to make sure that I have them set up properly. Looks like I do. I haven't traded on any of these. Is everything on? I believe it is all successfully on. Okay, yeah. My trade copier's on. All that good jazz. So no trades for me today. I have my performance, my funded Apex accounts, same thing on Tradeify, and also I have a new company that I'm just testing it out, the Funded Futures Network, so seeing what's going on there. If I see a setup of buying the dip, I might be interested in it. Not necessarily enjoying fighting such a clear trend to the downside, but remember, that's just the market open. The overall trend, looking at the daily chart, is evidently to the upside, very evidently to the upside. So we got the downside gap fill. Chart cleaned up. Chart is cleaned up. What time is it? It is 9:52. Sometimes we do see these 10 a.m. reversals. That trend, it's picking the bottom here if you play this. Is it worthwhile to try to pick this bottom? 30. What's the risk? 50-50, folks. 50-50 risk reward. Do I want to try to catch a falling knife? That's the real question. Is it worthwhile to catch a falling knife? Tesla's still kind of getting beat up. But this...
Order
All
submitted.
right. I'm taking my first stab at it. I don't know if this is...
Order submitted.
gonna end up looking the best. I'm taking a stab at it. Oh, what am I? I'm long at 45, risking 13. Why is the volume light today? I'm wondering if we're just going to bounce off the downside gap fill. I gave it 2 tests. I'm wondering. We'll see. Just to show you. What is this? 60. Do I just want to do a fill at 65? It's not the worst idea. That's not really my target. It just auto puts that up there for me. What I want to do is see if I could get this fill at 65 and then move my stop to break even. I'm a little bit worried that I'm early to the party today. I waited for the downside gap fill. I waited for the second test. I was a little late. A better entry would have been at 38, but whatever. That's not too far off. That's off by 6 points. I'm risking the intraday low. And as you guys know, as soon as this gets hit, I'm just trying to lock it in and then move the stop to break even. And then I have a runner. A runner's a runner. I'm just hoping I can lock that in at, it got somewhat close. Let's take a look at Bookmap. Oh, I did not realize that the point of control was at 60. So we're running in. Remember, the point of control, POC, that's the value where most volume has been traded at in that session. So most volume has been traded at 25,060, and you can kind of see it with this volume node over here. It's just the biggest node. Honestly, I was about to say maybe I should have moved my first target down to 60, but that would have not hit anyway. So I can't really complain about it because I think we got up to like 58. What did we get up to? Yeah, we got up to 59. So I can't even be like, oh, why didn't I play that? Because it would have never hit anyway. If anything, that would have been more frustrating because I would have been like, yo, look how close that was and I didn't get a fill. So if I was playing that exact level, it would have never gotten that fill anyway. And in fact, we're about to get clocked. Not enough follow through. Shoot. Knowing my luck, it's going to come down just enough to knock me out. And then it's going to explode back up to where I need it to be anyway. But I figured it was worth it. The risk isn't that bad. I'm only trading 2. This is going to be one of those ones where it wicks you out. Come on. Can I get lucky? Because it might be wanting to touch 25,000 flat. That's my worry right here of like why when I was like, oh, maybe I'm a little bit early. It might really want to reevaluate 25,000 flat. Just a key psychological level. Market may be interested in evaluating the supply or demand right there. Oh, should I just move this up, save myself a couple points? Or do I want to, but what if I overshoot it? But if it overshoots it down to 70 or something, it could get ugly quick. So I can't take on more risk with it. I don't think that would be appropriate. Do I just want to cut it now? Do I want to cut it now? That's a bummer that it undershot the POC by a point. Little bit of a struggle bus here. Little bit of a struggle bus. I have to get absurdly lucky. Damn. It got that high. It was a worthwhile shot. I really don't mind it. You never know where the bottom's going to be, and it's all a game. 50% of the time you're right, 50% of the time it's all just about your risk management. And part of me was wondering, should I have been hyper aggressive and move my risk up to 40? That wick low here. 957. You think I'm going to get so incredibly unlucky that the 10 a.m. hour change like causes a bit of vol, knocks me out, and then goes in my favor anyway? You think I'm going to get that unlucky? That would be a fucking bummer, wouldn't it? That would be a huge bummer if the 10 a.m. come on. I just want to lock in one and then right away, as I normally do, move my stop to break even, take risk off the table. And if you have a runner, you have a runner. If you have a runner, you have a runner. What time is it? 9:58. All right, so I have a minute 45 before the turn of the hour. My bot went short. Well, Riley, it's me versus you today. May the luckiest trader win. All right, Do I want to move my stop up? I do like this idea of taking, but that's not taking much risk off. All right. Point of control. Point of control is at 60 still. I'm targeting a little bit of a breakout of this high, but also an undershoot of these highs. So I'm kind of awkwardly in between. Maybe I should be moving this to 60. What time is it? I have 1 minute. Okay, hopefully this can just get a fill before the change of the hour. Hopefully this can just get a fill before the change of the hour. Come on, take out 60. I could do... we ran right back up to it. Is it going to test?
Order filled.
Oh, nice. Sick. Cool. Break even. Free play. I don't know how it plays out now. All I could tell you is I have no risk. What is this high? Up to 180. Okay. I'm literally just putting it arbitrarily up there. Maybe there's a full reversal. Maybe there isn't. Most likely that's not what's going to get hit. If you guys have watched the show, you know that most of the time it's my trailing stop loss. Right now, the trailing stop loss is at break even. As it goes higher and higher and higher, I'm going to trail with it. So now, like, these are my favorite plays because it's just a free play. I've locked in $340. My worst return is going to be $340. However, if it happens to trend from here, I'm lucky. 7 out of 10 times, 70% of the time, I am stopped out at break even. It is more often than not that I am stopped out at break even. With that high, you might be like high of a percentage of getting stopped out. You might be thinking, well, why not? And the answer is because the 3 out of 10 times that I'm not stopped out at break even, there's such a vast return that it's worthwhile to take a stab at it. But mentally, I'm prepared for this right
Order
here.
filled.
Break even. Which why did that drop so much? Didn't I just say it was at $340? That was weird how it was being computed. Especially because one of these is at 418. What was that slippage? I'm confused. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. But anyway, stopped out for break even. Winning trade. Winning trade. And I don't mind that because I know with the 10 a.m. hour, it brings a little bit of volatility. Looks like I was stopped out right at the bottom. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. Shit happens. We are range bound, flat to puke to range bound. Now the name of the game is, can we break to the upside of this range? Can the bulls return to the market? A lot of profit taking across the Mag 7 this morning, as shown right here. And then actually some short-term bearish bets, 0 DTE puts were being purchased to play this downside gap fill. But now these puts have kind of seemingly already taken their profits. I could show you right here. See 0 DTE, they've now gone flat, curling up ever since 952, but also no one's returning to buy calls on the SPY quite yet. So overall, the S&P 500 delta flow, nothing too special. A little down. There were some short-term bearish bets. They've already taken their profits. You see that flow alert right here. Since then, nothing. The Mag 7, a lot of profit taking, but now it seems like the profit taking might be over. So the question is, are the bulls going to return? And the secondary question is, if the bulls do return, how aggressive are they going to be? So obviously we are seeing this technical structure, flat to lower highs and lower lows. Now we're range bound, basically just lower highs and lower lows, but once again, range bound. So the question here, is this a double top or is it a double bottom? Well, right now it's definitively a double bottom. But the question really is this double bottom going to break and are we going to puke? No surprise that the double bottom formed at the downside gap fill. Remember, there's many traders out there who target those levels. And because they're targeting it, it becomes very rapidly a self-fulfilling prophecy. As more and more people talk about the high odds chance at the downside gap fill, it makes it more likely for it to happen because more people trade it. They go short, and then as soon as it hits it, they take. So if you are short, that pushes it down. When you buy to lock in your profits, it causes the bounce. So as more and more people get hyper fixated on one particular setup or trade, it actually becomes more likely that it works, which is literally exactly what we saw right here. Exactly what we saw here. And also RIP to that guy who said he was short. I feel bad. You've probably already like blown out because it's gone 50 points against you. So your account might still be alive if you played it with only one contract. But we'll see. I hope you didn't. Riley, I hope you're good. I hope I hope you played it small enough that you could withstand whatever the hit was to your account. But also, once, as I said, you went short after the downside gap fill. It's one thing if you went short to play the downside gap fill. I would understand the math and the statistics of why you took that. But to go short after the downside gap fill, it seems like you're just late to the party. That one doesn't make the most sense to me. It doesn't make the most sense at all. Bitcoin looking pretty good. Bitcoin's been looking amazingly good. Look at this 30-minute chart. I mean, it's just ripping right now. The daily, I think, is even better. We have a higher low. So we have one low here, the end of August to the end of September. So we have a higher low, a technical trend line breakout, a breakout of the recent high. So now the trend is officially higher highs and higher lows with a trend line breakout. And obviously you're seeing momentum. That's why Coinbase is looking good. That's why, where's MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy is looking good. That's why, where's HUT? HUT is looking good. You're getting a lot of these crypto names looking pretty freaking good right now because Bitcoin and really the whole crypto sphere is looking pretty freaking strong. Tesla, we gapped up, got the downside gap fill. Let's hope that it stops puking. Palantir, similar situation. We gapped up, profit taking. Let's hope that stops. Same thing on NVIDIA. NVIDIA actually still has a downside gap fill to the tune of, wow, that's 13 cents. It almost got the downside gap fill, but not quite. Oklo, I'm praying for a breakout. It's just a lethargic thing. CoreWeave, same thing there. What happened? NVIDIA maybe bouncing. Right there, turn of the hour. 9:57, we're seeing a little bit of life. The question is, will there be follow through? The Mag 7 is showing life, but the question is, how much life will it have? How aggressive can this be? S&P 500 is flat, but maybe showing a little bit right here. Damn, I really did get stopped out for like barely. Fuck, dude. That's a bummer. Had I gotten a slightly earlier entry, I could have put my stop to break even lower and I would have never got ticked. I got out at 44 and it went as low as 41. It overshot me by about 3 points. That's a bummer. Bummer. Shit. Oh, if I took this trade, what might risk be? It's always, what is your downside? I think the bulls might be showing a little bit of strength here. Actually, I do want to do a Vanquish trade. I forgot about that. Let me get into my Vanquish account. Let me get into this Vanquish account. I just want to get it loaded up. 6, 7. Where were we at this morning? We're still basically right on top of this region of support. The S&P 500, if you're bullish, you want this region to hold. We have the previous close at 11. We have an open interest level at 715. And we have yesterday's high, which was also at that moment the all-time high at 18. So you're looking for this region to hold, and you could feel pretty confident of a retest of, we'll call it 30 on a break of 21. Excuse me. So that's what I'll be looking for. In fact, I'm going to set that alert right there. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that would be the technical setup. The risk is a little bit larger than normal just because of the distance from 21 to 11. So you're risking 10 points, which is about $1 in the SPY. And your upside, it's basically 1-to-1. So if you want to do a 1-to-1 play, that's maybe something to consider. You could be a bit more conservative, and whatever the most recent swing low is, you could look at that. But for right now, it was slightly range bound. Bearish bets to the downside gap fill. As soon as they got the downside gap fill, it found support at this positive gamma node, and now we're just waiting. If you are a day trader or a scalp trader, I don't think you could confidently say that this is anything to we just don't know if it is or isn't anything. But let me get one order queued up on my Vanquish account. I don't know which ones I want. Oh, let me get these queued up. I'm not executing anything yet. I'm looking at the on Vanquish, I'm trading the 0 DTE, and I'm looking at the 6725s. 6725s, as I normally do, I buy 10, and then I have a $1.50 profit target. Because of the consistency rule, it is best to make at most. If you're on an advanced options account, you have to consider consistency. but the Mag 7 showing a little bit of life. The SPY is flat. So if the SPY can start to repair how it's looking, I'd feel a little bit more confident. We're at that awkward stage where everyone's like, okay, is it going to bounce? Is it not going to bounce? Like, what the fuck do we have going on here? It's not the most risk. What is the flow looking like? The SPY, I don't like this hit that it just had at 10:06. I don't. All right, let's get this ready. Qs are looking good over here. Ever since this hit, changing at about 957, 958, we do have a succession of higher highs and higher lows. SPY is not getting too much of a follow through. NVIDIA is getting a bit of a bounce. HUT is getting a bit of a bounce. Palantir a bit of a bounce. NVIDIA, Oklo, CoreWeave. Microsoft is flat. Apple did get a bounce, kind of going flat ever since 10. Hood, a little bit of a bounce. Coin had a nice rip, just kind of cooled off. Broadcom is picking up ever since 10. So it seems like thus far, the story of the day is wildly different from 9:30 to 10 and then 10 until now. The SPY, this, like I said, this was the concerning thing, is the Mag 7 was trying to pick up, and it still is. Like, that flow is decent. But the SPY, maybe it's trying to hit the closing value, 6,711. We'll see. I would prefer that it just rips from here, but the Nasdaq was the weak thing right at market open, and the SPY was stronger. And then that seems to have inverted at 10 a.m., where on an intraday basis from 10 a.m., 9:57 till now, the tech sector has been a bit stronger, and the SPY just isn't catching that bid. And you can see it here. Mag 7 starting to go up, while the SPY actually just hit a fresh delta low. What was that? It was call selling. Oh, that might be people getting blown out trying to buy one of these dips, and they just hit their risk. Interesting. What do we have here? There is a support deep below at 6685. Spot Gamma recently has put out some interesting commentary of when they see these spreads. This is a put credit spread. If you're a sports bettor, this is the equivalent to an over bet. Where I have my cursor right now, when you have the positive gamma to the right, negative gamma to the left, and prices below, that is a credit spread. It's an over bet if it's on the put side. On the call side, if you saw it, it would be completely inverted, and that's an under bet. So where my cursor is, this player is betting at 4 p.m. today, when the market officially closes on the S&P 500, that the price is above 6685. They don't care if it's above it by a cent or by $100, but the bet is a binary bet of, hey, we just think it's going to be above this value. So I just wanted to call that out. All right, we just hit the closing value. Maybe this is where it is. Maybe some buyers step in here. Maybe. This is why we have to be patient and wait for various things to align. The Mag 7 is showing signs of wanting to recover, but the SPY is just, that was quite a bit of call selling, and it was perfectly aligned with, it was 0 DTE call selling and 0 DTE put buying, which has that 2x effect because you're losing positive delta and you're gaining negative delta. But I wonder if that was the target level right here, yesterday's closing value, the green to red test. I wonder if it's going to want to bounce right out of here. I wonder. All right. So a little bit more extreme than I wanted it to be. I kind of would have preferred if on this very first push at 951, if we dipped all the way down and just cleaned it up. We already got the downside gap fill, so I thought, good enough reason that maybe we bounced them there. But it looks like the market very much did want to evaluate that closing value from yesterday. And it still looks like it wants to evaluate it. Man, the Qs are attempting to hold. Very clear switch. From 957 onward, it's switched. The SPY was dominant, and now the Qs are a bit stronger. So let's see. SPY was flat, puked, flat, now a little mini puke, but coming up to support. The Qs just puked all the way to support, found support, and I wonder if it can put in this higher low right here. 5-minute momentum is bearish. 10-minute momentum is bearish. 30-minute momentum, once again, if you're looking for reasons to support, we're right at this 50 EMA. And then looking at the 4-hour, let's just mark out some of these key levels. So bearish, testing, and then the 4-hour is bullish. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. The short term is a little rough looking. Same thing on the Nasdaq. 5-minute is bearish, 10-minute is bearish. 30-minute did tap right here, that extreme that we saw, right that 50 EMA. So maybe there was some sitting buy order setting in there. So I guess my exit doesn't seem as dumb. But the SPY's not. Calls are still getting sold. Puts are now flat. So we're still losing some positive delta. But remember, that can change on a moment's notice. Will we be bouncing out of here? And if so, do I want to take a stab at it? Do I think that this is the bottom? I don't know. I don't know. What would my risk be? If I were to go long right now, what would my risk be? Would my risk be 50? Would my risk be 40? Oh, that's 20 points of risk. That's $200. So if I'm wrong, I'd go $200 in the hole today. That's a manageable piece of risk because I'm already up 200. No, if I'm wrong, I'm down 800. So I'd be down net 6 on the day. Would I be comfortable being down $600 on the day? Oh, do we have any signs of life coming in? Mag 7 did pop. SPY puked pretty hard, but now we're flat. So which way is it going to break? That's what everyone wants to know. Not really showing us an indication here. Literally just flat.
Order submitted.
Oh, brother. All right, I'm taking a little stab at it. Risk is pretty tight, as I always do. I'm going to try to lock in a 1-unit return, and then ideally from there, just move my stop to break even. And if I catch a runner, I catch a runner. But let's hope that it can return back up to 80. I'm long at 65. I'm risking the recent low. And remember, the name of this game is exclusively risk management. I want you guys to dream about my voice just saying that's all it is. The best traders in the world are not traders. They're just paranoid, obsessed risk managers. Big guys aren't doing anything today. I'm not even trying to dump it at that deep of a red zone. I think I have a somewhat of a decent shot of getting this first fill. It's going to be close in terms of in the event I could lock this in. My stop's going to be very close, so the odds of getting stopped out are going to be high, but hey, whatever. Sometimes you just need to get a little lucky. If it comes to the world of trading, if you'd rather be lucky or skillful, you better pick luck every single time. Every single time. Come on. Show me the money. Show me the money. Go, go, go. Come on, just hit 80. Just hit 80. Come on. You could do it, Tonto. Shit. That doesn't make me necessarily feel so good. How's the flow looking right now? It's still flat. It's trying to drift up, but it's not strong in the SPY. The Mag 7 actually took a little bit of a hit there, but maybe this is a higher low. Oh, fuck. It just knocked me back down to break even. Son of a gun. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait, am I going to get lucky? Got knocked, but maybe a bounce? Come on. Fuck. I thought maybe this was a bit of an overreaction. We'd quickly bounce and give me my fill. Are we losing a bit of steam? Are we losing a bit of steam? Come on. Take out 75, 76. Come on, just fill this so I could go to break even. I want another freebie trade. I want another freebie trade. Come on. Come on.
Order
There we
filled.
go. That one is for America, folks. I'd like to dedicate that trade to America, to 1776, to the red, white, and blue, to the boys in blue, to the girls in green. I'd like to dedicate that one to my mom. I'd like to dedicate that one to the big man upstairs, Jesus. It was worth it. And now it's a freebie play. I don't know. I could tell you I've locked in, well, weird deviate. Oh, fuck. It's about to get me knocked out. Son of a gun. Stop it. Get away. Get away. Get away. Stop it.
Order
Fuck.
filled.
Whatever. $500. The runner didn't run. The runner did not run. But hey, locked in some money. Each account up about $500. I have 23 accounts. That's 10K. Can't complain about it. It sucks. I mean, it's just something I have to accept with that. Like, it's the best way I've found to be successful in the world of sim-to-funded trading. When you're day trading, scalp trading, I have found that the best math is quickly locking in some and then just moving your stop to break even and then trailing aggressively and doing that until you build up enough of a buffer. But Jesus, that was potentially a little bit of a fake out here, folks. The SPY just got hit again right here. The SPY was showing life, and then boom, right at 1020, smacked. Right at 1020, smacked. This is for the S&P 500. People started selling calls again. Someone's really been aggressively selling calls expiring today. Like, aggressively selling calls. Huh. How long is it going to last? Are they just going to keep trending down? The Qs are attempting to show a bit of life. We didn't take out this low. See how the Qs are trying to make higher highs and higher lows, and the SPY's still making lower highs and lower lows? If you're trying to be bullish on the SPY, you really just have to be patient and wait for that to change. It was looking decent there for a second. This might be the little wick where, like, the little stop loss hunting, as people love to refer to it, of like, oh, we bought this, and then your risk is low, and it knocks you out, and then it goes. That might be a little bit of what we're seeing, potentially. 5 minutes bearish, 10 minutes bearish, 30 minute is still testing. 5 minutes bearish, 10 minutes bearish, 30 minutes testing. All I could tell you is if it bounced from here, if this was the bounce point, 1021, no one would be surprised. Bouncing off a key level, little bit of a stop loss hunting. Qs are showing a bit of strength. Mag 7 could look better. I would like to see that delta go up. The SPY did take that hit, was additional call selling. If that spun back around, I think we could have a shot. But on the flip side, if you caught this bearish breakdown at 938, something like this, ride the trend as long as it happens. So clearly right now, the trend's still to the downside. Obviously, I've been looking for bullish opportunities, playing that little game of trying to pick the lows. But if you've been riding this breakdown down, the trend has not switched yet. So you really don't have that good of a reason to get out. You don't have that good of a reason to get out. Oh, it's getting to the point where maybe the Qs are just in their own new range, like a smaller range. Like, really, we had this little overreaction at 949, but other than that, you could argue we've been kind of range bound since 940 in the NASDAQ, while the SPY is slowly but surely bleeding off. Slowly but surely bleeding off. If you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter, mattkohrs.locals.com. It's in the description of the video. You get a newsletter every single Sunday for free. Oh, free. All right, here's a look at the daily picture. Overall, we're still fine. Intraday, things look a little bit more rough, but is this the... Fuck, I might have missed that. I don't feel like chasing this to the tune of 20 points. I should be... If I did take this trade, I'd already be locking in the first one, and then I'd see if I have the runner. Yeah, I definitely would have locked in already, so I can't chase this now. That's just too silly. Too silly. Are we going to get this bounce? The Qs are going for another high. So we would still be going with this overall trend of higher highs and higher lows if we could take out this 1019 high. But you kind of want to see the SPY take out also. Basically on the SPY and the Qs, from a technical perspective for day traders and scalp traders, you're looking to take out this 1019 high. The Qs just did it. So now you could still watch this recent low. But the question is are we going to be returning all the way back up to 606.20? The SPY is now what's holding us back. The SPY is not catching a bid. NASDAQ, a little bit of life. The MAG 7 drifting down, actually. The SPY puked, popped up, down, maybe a higher low, but it's just going flat right here. No follow through quite yet. No follow through. No follow through. I'm thinking the story might change if the SPY can pop here. Come on. Let's see. Tesla not looking the best intraday. In fact, it's slightly red on the day now relative to yesterday. Palantir showing a bit of life. Nvidia showing a little bit of life. Oklo nothing. CoreWeave nothing. Microsoft nothing. Apple. Strong recovery on Apple. Strong recovery on Hood. Avago looking good too. Apple, look at that recovery there. If Apple and Nvidia can keep going, and as long as Microsoft doesn't puke, that might help the Qs and the SPY. Well, it'll definitively help the SPY and the Qs. The issue is here. The problem child is this. The delta flow is still just generically down on the S&P 500. That needs to improve. That very much needs to improve. So if it doesn't improve, probably not much of a point of taking a stab at it until you see those actual metrics. And if we get that breakout, then you're obviously watching yesterday's high, but you could also watch this downsloping trend line. But we are just literally getting pinned to the closing value from yesterday. What's the flow? I just keep coming. I'm waiting for any sign of buyers. Any sign of buyers. Is this it? Is this it? Is this it?
Order submitted.
Fuck. I'm always like slightly late to these entries. I'm taking another stab at it long. I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, this time, the profit target's even closer, really increasing the odds of, if it were to hit, of me getting stopped out. But what I'm playing right here is this potential first higher low in SPX right here from 1021 to 1026. Is that a higher low? That's going to lead us to this potential breakout. That's what I'm attempting to play. Maybe I could drill it right here. I'm looking at sorry. I'm looking at this low to this low. That's what I'm attempting to play. Hopefully it actually breaks 14 and 15. But we'll find out. We'll find out. I was watching this lower highs, range bound, lower highs, lower lows. And then I said, oh, wow, 1026 might be our first higher low of the day. Can I take advantage of it with my risk being very tight? Obviously, I'm playing it via NQ just because I had NQ up and it's been a stronger product today anyway. And I'm just trying to lock in at this psychological level of 100 and pray that there's not just a dump in the S&P 500. So I want to lock in there. And then as I've been doing all day today, I'm just going to move my stop up to break even and maybe I could catch the runner. But remember, 70% of the time there's at least the way I trade, no runner to be caught. But I do find that this is, at least for me, in my psychology and the way I approach the market, the best way to approach day trading and scalp trading, which is still a very, very different methodology than how I would approach swing trading. Remember, the shorter your time frame, the odds of your success decrease. There's an inverse relationship between what you're doing time frame wise and your success. It's a brutal truth, and everyone, for whatever reason, because of social media, wants to be a day trader. They want to be a scalp trader, and in reality, that is the time frame where you have the least odds of success. So one thing I do to attempt to increase my chances of success is keeping my risk as minimal as I possibly can. As minimal as I possibly can. Oh, where are we looking here? Okay, some people are trying to sell at 95. Some people, I'm at this second block up here. We do have support at 60. Okay, and my stop is below that. So if there is a hit, hopefully there's just some buyers stepping in here. VWAP is at 45-ish. That's this white line above my head. So maybe a little bit of resistance there. A VWAP rejection. Is that what we're seeing play out right now? Oh, fuck. This is what I didn't want to see on the SPY, this double top. Remember, I was like, okay, I saw this higher low, but it got rejected right at the exact same level, which is also this gamma level. It's going to be luck from here, Tonto. All right, hopefully we do not break these lows. Hopefully, come on. Potential inverse shoulder, head, shoulder. That's what I'm trying to play, but it looks smart until the structure is broken. And structures on such a small time frame on the 1 minute, they're either broken or validated rapidly all the time. Come on. Come on. Go for it. Let's take it out. Let's take it out. Come on. I'm just hoping we don't get smacked right here. I really thought the NQ at this point, even though the SPY just picked up, the NQ is not. I really thought by a little pop in the SPY, I thought by this pop I'd already be locking in, if I'm being completely honest. And in reality, I'm up like a couple points. Fuck, that's not good. That's not good. Okay. 95 and 100. Son of a gun. That doesn't bring the most joy, if I'm being completely honest. What day of the shutdown is the rug pull? I don't. There's a big assumption that government shutdowns are somehow bearish for the stock market, and just the odds don't suggest that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's guaranteed one way or the other, but it's just, fuck, right there. It did get smacked right at that level. Well, when you come up to resistance, you have a 50-50 shot. Breakdown and breakout. And it looks like the initial test was smacked. Maybe we find support right here. When you come up to support, you either break or you bounce. So we're kind of in a pretty tight range here. And this, when I say it's like a game of 50-50, that's pretty much what we're playing right now. But anyway, be very, very careful about your assumptions on that. The odds would suggest that that is not right. The odds would suggest that is incorrect. Where I have some proof for you. I'm not just saying it to say it. Let me try to find right here. S&P 5. Excuse me, Jesus, I cannot talk at all. S&P 500 performance during government shutdowns. So 2018 to 2019 increase, 2018 to 2018 increase, 13 to 13 increase. Back, I guess, in 95, nothing. Back in 95, increase. Back in the 90s, a decrease. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 of them, the market's gone up. One of them was nothing, and the other one was a decrease. So just be very, very careful with your assumptions. I get that sometimes we hear things that for evident reasons seems as if like, oh, that should be bearish. Like, why would that not be bearish? But it's always worthwhile to take in, I don't know, an extra look at the data rather than just assuming something is good or bad. There's a lot of generic assumptions in the market that are just like downright wrong. Downright wrong. And speaking of wrong, I think my trade's wrong. I tried to play it quick. I played it through NQ, and it looks like I'm about to get clocked. And September is usually bearish, so wouldn't be surprised if it's a pullback. Excuse as a little further into October. That's not how it works. That's not how data works. That's not how statistics work. That is actually a really crazy extrapolation you're trying to make there. That's very, very dangerous. Is this the overshot double bottom? We're not that far away from the transition zone, 6705, but then also 6,700 might be a clear magnet. It's just, whoa, mag 7 from 1020. It tried to get going, but right here, someone's getting clocked. Is it Tesla? Yeah, Tesla right there, 1030, the delta falling off, dragging the mag 7 with it, dragging the NASDAQ with it. So that's a bit brutal. The SPY, what's sad is the SPY tried to get going right there too. And 1030 brought in something we didn't want to see. 1030 brought in something we did not want to see. Anyway, if you want to see what I just posted here, Michael Noss, CMT is the account. I thought this was very interesting. I thought this was very, very interesting. What do we see? Is there any other breaking news, anything like that? I'm trying to keep my mind off my position so I don't do something stupid. Is this the bottom? So the Qs are still showing strength, higher highs and higher lows, while the SPY is opposite, lower highs and lower lows. So you could argue on an intraday basis, a different trend. Fuck. Do I really think that the Qs are going to win out? Tesla just got clocked. Apple's looking good. Nvidia's looking flat. Microsoft is looking flat. Oklo caught a bid. Palantir. Oh, the perils of being in too short of a time frame. Getting all hopped up on the fucking 1 minute chart. Remember, your short time frames statistically is not much different than random noise. That's why I always crack up when people are like, I trade the 1 second chart. Feels fucking dumb when they say that. Why are my alerts now not turning on? They're staying like gray. Is there like a weird delay happening? It just hasn't turned on. Oh, I'm wondering, should I move my stop up? If I take a hit pretty much here, I will be either break even or slightly red on the day, which, you know, honestly, not bad. Trying to take this bottom, but the SPY going the other way. Sometimes your best trades are small losers, and it's just your risk management. I'm just praying that what we just saw at 1030 was an overshoot. All right, we just took these levels out. This is booked. Some people are still at 95. Fuck. I wonder if I should move mine to 95. But see, I'm at this second one. I'm trying to dump my first one here at 25,100 with these guys. I'm overshooting the first one. We did just bounce off the point of control. Hopefully we are not going to revisit it. but we did just perfectly bounce there, which would have been a far better entry for me because I probably was really close to back to my classic strategy of lock in one and let it ride. Not the best entry on this particular trade, but hey, maybe it'll still work for me. But this right here would have been a better entry. Playing the bounce off the point of control, you're in at 68, you're risking 58, you're risking 10 points. You already locked in one, and your other's set to break even. That would have been, in my book, a stronger play than what I did here. Granted, you never know what happens. I waited for the pump, the pullback. I got in a little late. I could have been in at 82 versus 86, but I'm not going to cry over 4 points. And that very much could have got going because remember, at the moment that I took that trade, SPX was looking like this. It's like, oh, okay, did we get this high or low? Are we going to knock on 15 and go? It just so happens that it then got clocked and we overshot that low, and now we're bouncing back. So sometimes you have to just really appreciate the information you don't have. Remember, everyone is a phenomenal trader when you already have the charts. When it comes to when it comes to hindsight trading, everyone is 20/20. Everyone is a lights out trader when you already know where the chart's going to go. But let's see if we could get this technical turnaround here. All right, I would love to just be able to lock this in once again. And then same thing as always, stop to break even. If I catch a runner, I catch a runner. But honestly, for the amount of times that I've traded today, if this one gets stopped out for break even, well, first of all, I'm putting the cart before the horse. First, I need to lock it in. But in the event that I can lock, what alert? Was that a good alert or a bad alert? Fuck, a bad alert. It's range bound, and I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. I'm betting that the SPY breaks to the upside of its range because the Qs have been showing strength and they already broke to the upside of their range. So I'm betting that the SPY follows suit, but you could argue, Matt, what if the Qs was the fake out and the SPY breaks the other way and drags the Qs with it? Both are valid points and both could happen. Fuck. We're just not trending right now. Oddly enough, the SPY delta's trying to get going and the Mag 7 is now showing weakness. It feels like multiple times today we've been flipped of who's leading who. This feels like the third or fourth flip of the day. And unfortunately, we're getting clear movement in the underlying data set, really the options flow. But if you look at just that price action, you'd be like, dude, this is, what the fuck is this? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. How many times have you ever seen this? I'm on the 3-minute chart on the SPY. Red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red. How fucking nuts is that? Talk about range bound not doing shit. Tesla bottom? I don't know. I'll tell you better at market close, folks. Tesla coming back to life? I hope so. That's crazy. Green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, red, green, green, red, green, red. We're just violently going nowhere today. Fuck, did we just put in another lower high here on the SPY? If the SPY breaks down right here, the trend is still bearish intraday. That's just another lower high. We kind of need to take out 669 and hold 66825. Fuck. Oh, no. Mag 7 trying to bounce from 1036. It's like the delta's trying to point up. The SPY was as well, but at 1040 got clipped. You had some call selling once again. Puts have been, someone's coming in and getting a couple puts right now, but fuck. Oh, I'm wondering if this is just the point for me to cut it, take a small loss on these accounts, and just wait for tomorrow. I'm wondering. We're back at the point of control. I'm wondering. SPY is pushing here. I get that it's range bound and it easily could bounce out, or it could just come right back to the top of the range, and that's fine. But there's also a non-zero chance that we're range bound and it actually breaks down. And the question is how can I mitigate most of the pain? How can I mitigate most of the pain? Mag 7 is flat, giving us no indication. SPY did get a pop, but it's trending down. But we haven't broken this recent low either. And that's all happening as we're just at this level doing nothing. Son of a gun. If you wanted to be very technical about it, it is now a lower high on both the SPY and the Qs, which is part of the reason why I wonder if I should just get the fuck out. Granted, it's a very close reading, and the reading is occurring in a very, very choppy environment, but nonetheless, that technically is a lower high. So we are continuing the downtrend on the SPY, and it's suggestive of flatness on the Qs. Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, Nvidia, Oklo, CoreWeave, Microsoft. Microsoft and Apple are actually having decent days. So is Nvidia. It's giving a little bit now back over the past 15 minutes, but that's a decent bounce. It's a decent bounce. If I had to really define what's going on here, this is just a bunch of conflicting stuff. A bunch of conflicting information. Fuck. I'm just wondering how dumb am I being right now. Part of me wants to cut it just so I don't have to deal with it. But I'm almost wondering, is that emotional? Because overall, this is still just range bound. So part of me is like, okay, is this good risk management? Because whatever, take a survivable hit. But then on the other part of me, I'm wondering, is it emotional just because you're seeing red and you don't want to deal with red, and we're in the range, and the range could theoretically break your way. So that's my thoughts on the Qs. But I'm wondering if I'm getting more antsy just because of the SPY. Because I see the SPY clearly showing some weakness. Oh, which is it? What is the driving psychology right now? Well, now that just makes me feel kind of fucking dumb. SPY. Is it just going to bounce right here? The issue is the ranges. Even with the bounce, the ranges are just so fucking brutal. Yeah, we just waterfalled. Look at that SPY dump. Look at that SPY dump. I'm really, really thinking about this. Because if I get out, it's manageable and whatever. When you're playing these 50-50 games, I'm just wondering. Yeah, the SPY. Right, the culprit of what just happened, I'll show you. Look at this. It's this call selling. There's been a pretty clear onslaught of call selling throughout the day. SPY has not reversed trend on it. The daily chart, the weekly chart, any larger time frame is bullish, but I'm referring specifically regular trading hours from market open till now. The S&P 500 has only been bearish. It's only lower highs and lower lows. By definition, that has to be a bearish trend. The Qs have been a slightly different story. It was bearish, and then it showed some bullishness, but in the past 5-ish minutes, it just got clocked. But Apple, is this the tap and go? generally I feel more confident in like, okay, like, is this a tap and bounce or tap and crap based on the options flow? But I'm just getting no, look at it, like it just started, like all those calls, the puts were bought and then they just quickly locked them in. Very, very fucking choppy day, folks. This, as of now, as of 10:48, if you haven't figured this out already, this is a day where you have to size down on your day trades and your scalp trades if you're doing that, because we're getting these wider ranges. So to see how things do or don't play out, you're going to have to give it more room, and inherently to give it more room, you're going to have to play smaller because of just like the downside. Double bottom to confirm support, it might be. The issue with all these like confirmations or not is you don't know until after. So you have to make the decision in real time on incomplete information and just hope that you're right and it doesn't hit your risk. But I'm really tempted to just be like, you know what, today's like a bullshit day. Something like yesterday, at least for the way I approach the market, is a far easier day than what we've been seeing right now, because yesterday not only was price action on the SPY and the Qs in alignment, but we saw that across the Mag 7, and also we saw agreement in options flow. Today, we're seeing a bunch of mismatches among those things. Price action on the SPY and the Qs, how options flow is looking. Not all days are built the same. Yesterday, even though price was dipping, we saw a potential reversal. The SPY and the Qs were doing it together, and we saw strength across the board on options flow. And it made me far more confident to buy the dip, because I saw other larger players buying the dip, and the assumption is that they're going to be the ones influencing the market. Obviously, today, that story is different because the SPY is weak and the options flow is all over the place. And the Mag 7 tried to get a nice pump. Like if you're just looking at this portion, you're like, oh, maybe that's reversing right there. That's a decent reversal. And then unfortunately, just no follow through, and it got clocked from there. Unfortunately, no follow through, got clocked from there. Shit. So now I have to do the psychology work of, do I really think this is going to bounce? Am I bullishly biased because of my swing positions? Or is there like a real shot of bouncing out of this? Damn, I just keep coming back to, oh, Mag 7 just took another hit. It's getting to the point, I don't know how much longer I could give this. It's getting to the point where it feels like I'm fighting the options trend. I had an initial shot, but it bounced for a bit right here. I had this shot from 1010 to 1040. It's getting to the point where it feels like I'm fighting trend. It is getting to that point, unfortunately. And the ranges are large. The only thing I did smart was keep my size small so it's manageable. SPY just keeps getting, it's not catching this bid. And these alerts are not working well. Where are we at? So maybe bounce off of 700. We are at the top of the transition zone, 6705, key technical level, key psychological level, key gamma level at 700. But I do want to let you know on a 0 DT basis, 6685. 6685 is a bigger play. We sliced through this support at 710. Some people might be playing 700, but if for those of you who use spot gamma, you've probably heard about their whole like seek and destroy kind of like breakdown. When we see these spreads, that would be down about another 20-ish points on SPX, once again at 6685. I don't like the position I'm in. I'm not comfortable with it. It feels like I'm very much fighting the trend. The options flow just isn't there, and I'm trying to give it a second just because I respect that these are larger ranges. I'm also attempting to respect that we're at a key level on the Qs, we're at a key level in the S&P 500, so no one would be surprised if we're like, yo, 6,700, that was the low of the day. I'm trying to respect that. But also on the flip side, no one would be surprised if we snapped that and puked all the way down to 85. Like both are true. So without having that crystal ball, I'm just trying to manage my risk to not lose the accounts so I can at least fight tomorrow. Oh, it feels like it's getting to the point of I'm betting on pure luck of, dude, the Mag 7 is still bleeding off. Fuck. SPY is at least somewhat stabilized. Granted, the stabilization could break to the downside against me. And this is what I don't like about my current position is now it's going from like, oh, like I'm reading this, and I'm in trend with price, momentum, and flow. And now it feels as if I'm betting on, oh, I need flow to luckily reverse in my favor or at least break out of stabilization into my favor. And I just don't like being in those positions. Generally, I want more things to align for me. And it looks like the SPY is not. Fuck. It's just a dumb ass play on my part. I'm hearing those alerts. I'm so close to just cutting this. I don't want to bleed out much more. The SPY, it's bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. Just call it a day. I'm pretty much at that point. I'm just not liking the lack of alignment across the board. Trust me, my finger is right here. I don't want to give this much more. Just trying to stick to it. There's always tomorrow. You just need that one good day to get back on track, which inherently means that you just can't take the fucking bad beat. I mean, honestly, you could kind of argue that I'm even overstaying my welcome on this particular trade. Fuck. How much? It's 11. We broke to the downside. The 30-minute Orbo broke to the downside, and the hour Orbo broke to the downside on the SPY. We have not broken the 30-minute Orbo quite yet on the Qs, and we have that closing value right here. Damn. Folks, I'm not making the most sense out of this right now. Mag 7. See, the options every single time, it's just getting caught up here. Is it calls or puts moving it? But see, these puts try to play that. Are they playing the bounce or are they not playing the bounce? Whoa, almost spilled my coffee there. Okay, we're at this level. We're at 6,700 because I was looking at these puts right here, the light blue. They popped up for a second. Is this the bounce, 6,700? This is a huge level. Not only are we in the transition zone, but it's a huge gamma level as well. And it's a huge psychological level. So when we come to support, I know of no model, and I don't think anyone on this planet has a model that can accurately tell you we will bounce or we will break. What you can do is just say, oh, this is a key level you should pay attention to. If it appears we're going to bounce, great. Go long, put your support at the recent low, and go for the long. If it's going to break down, great. Play the breakdown, put your risk at the recent high, and play for the breakdown. No one, I get that people are going to try to tell you that they have models for breakouts and breakdowns. They don't. They're selling you fucking snake oil. They are. This is just It's the key level. And all the best you could do is pay attention to the key levels, set alerts when we get in the range, check the options flow, check the price trend, see if people are taking any profits or not. All it is watching key levels. We got that initial little baby bounce. The initial little baby bounce. You know what I should have done now that I'm really, really thinking about it? On that initial snap right here at 1042, 1045, something like that in the Qs, I should have cut one. I think that would have been a really shrewd play. Cutting one of the contracts and saying, okay, if we bounce, we bounce, because I could always add back in lower. Trying to keep that whole position in retrospect was pretty fucking stupid. Yeah, that was a dumb fucking play. That was the dumb play. I should have cut one. The spies just keep going, man. I'm not getting a breather out of this. So, especially if you're new or even if you're returning, why I hate this so much is because at this point, I have a 50-50 shot. It's just either we bounce off this key level or we break down at this key level. So I feel like I'm not doing something shrewd or intelligent, especially with respect to risk management. It feels like at this point, it's a game of flipping quarters and are you picking heads or tails properly? It's just, do we bounce here or do we break here? If we do break, I see an opportunity down to 6685. If we bounce, I see an opportunity back up to 6720 at the lowest. So will this break or not? Oh, and by the way, slightly going below or above, that doesn't really mean breaking or not. I mean, we've seen like little movements. People aren't going to trade exactly to the values. I know sometimes it looks like that and it feels like that, but in my book, not necessarily a reproducible phenomena. So it's just, you got to watch. And dude, the Mag 7 is just getting fucked right here. What about the SPY? I'm assuming those puts have to take some profits here. Yeah, okay, there's that the light blue line right here. These are your 0 DTE puts, a little bit of a bounce. I thought there would be more. All right, the bounce becomes interesting if we could take out this recent high at 706, the high at 1048 if you're on the minute chart. It gets more interesting if we recapture 711, the closing value from yesterday. But that is, as of now, visions of grandeur because we have not shown one new high in a while. That is very much visions of grandeur. Maybe you start paying attention above 703, maybe 704, but really, you just set the alert at 706 and you just wait. NVIDIA is still positive. Remember, still positive or negative has nothing to do with the intraday influence. Just because something's positive, that's measured off the previous day's close. That doesn't mean it's trending in your favor intraday. Look at Tesla, for example. Opened up big, but all of its influence from out the day was negative because it was selling off, even though for most of the day it was green. So that saying something is green or red on the day, all that tells you is where it is relative to yesterday's close. It doesn't tell you about its trend intraday, which is what's going to be influencing the intraday trend of the S&P 500. Microsoft vomited. Fuck, that's not looking good for me. Just buyers aren't stepping in. In fact, every so often, look at that. Here's the S&P 500. We had some profit taking on those puts. Nope, smashed again, and it's this call selling. Yeah, pretty brutal trend from 1040 to now. Well, I should say brutal if you're a bull, but if you're a bear, this is the exact trend you want to be looking at. Fuck. I'm doing the exact opposite thing of what I should be doing. Yeah, that was it all. This right here, 1040. We were trending up. That hit. That was the canary in the coal mine, folks. That was very much the canary in the coal mine. Oh, how do I want to handle this? That's a fresh low, and we snapped 6,700. I wonder if people are going to start piling on here. Brutal trend from 1040 to now, the last 25 minutes. Brutal trend. NQ is coming up to 25,000 flat. Maybe you have some people react to it. We're also coming up to the overnight trading session bound. So like that's another one where maybe that's people's targets. So they're locking in some of that short profits. We just cracked 25,000. Let's see. Nope. I'm not seeing any signs. All this fucking profit taking. Remember, it can change on a moment's notice. That's why like you're kind of sitting around like waiting, setting those alerts, because eventually the shorts run out of money. Eventually the profit taking stops, and then you have another phase. And then at that point you track how big that phase is. Just because this is happening today, that doesn't mean we can't bounce all the way back to these intraday highs. That is 100% possible. And I find that a lot of retail traders end up having recency bias and whatever's going on. They just think that's going to be continuing for the rest of the day. And I'll be the first to let you know that statistically, the longer this goes on, obviously the chances of these bounces become less and less. Clearly, I don't think that's like an insane statement by any means. But that we could bounce at 6,700. We could bounce at the Qs, the red to green test. Like, it's just the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, no matter how it plays out, it's going to seem as if there was an evident play that was so obvious. If we were to bounce right here, everyone's going to be like, yeah, of course we bounce there. The S&P 500, 6,700. The Qs, red, green. We bounced off the close. Like, duh, that's levels of support. On the flip side, you could say, no, we were just trending down. We had lower highs and lower lows, and we are trending all the way down to other major key levels. And I find that the Monday morning quarterbacking aspect of this world is the most brutal aspect. I find that is by far the most brutal. I am praying for this overshoot of 25,000 flat. My mistake, if you were to give fair trading criticism to me right here, we could actually see it on the 1 minute a bit better. I should have gone down from 2 contracts long to 1 contract long on this break at 1044, 1045. We were trending up, higher highs, higher lows. We had this low, which was above the previous. We shot up, put in a lower high, and then broke down, switching trend from bullish to bearish. The fair criticism of my current long position, the very fair criticism, and I'm going over this just because I think you guys can learn from it. On this breakdown, I should have fully cut my position, or I should have gone down from 2 to 1, because then that would have allowed me to withstand a deeper pullback, and then I could have added in right here on this first sign of life, or right here, and I would have a far better average. So just to give you guys a little bit of, I don't know, a breakdown, some real trading criticism based on information you had at that moment in time without knowing where this is going, that is fair criticism. Hey, Matt, you put in a lower high, you made a fresh low, potential trend switch from bearish to bullish, back to bearish. SPY's looking a little funny. The options flow isn't like where you want it to be. Either cut both and you could reestablish, or cut one and then you could withstand a larger drawdown, giving it a chance. I think that's very fair criticism. And now at this point, we went from bearish to little bullish, back to bearish, And we did get the bounce off of 25,000. S&P 500 is battling it out at 6,700. And I have found myself back to where I've been pretty much all day since I got into this third trade of nothing but pure hopium, hoping that this is the start of a new trend. But you can only hope for so long before you get absolutely clocked by the market. Sometimes you get lucky, but from all the traders I know, eventually your luck just runs out. I have a fighting chance if we recapture this high, 57. We'll just call it 60 because that's that breakdown. So I'm looking at the high at 1048. Recapturing this could suggest a new trend. Once again, high at 1048. Right here, this high at 1048. So that would be my first shot of, oh, maybe we're going from bearish to bullish. But remember, I wouldn't necessarily chase that breakout. I would wait. That would be a fresh high. If I were bullish, I should be putting my trade in on the next higher low. So you would basically wait for the sequence of A, B, B is the breakout. You'd wait for the pullback, hope that the pullback is above the previous low. And then as that starts to turn up for D, that's your opportunity to get in because it's just risk management. You would be carrying less risk. If you do it that way, obviously the trade-off is what if you just break and rip and don't get the entry, but whatever, that's going to happen. You just have to like accept that. How much do you think trying to teach us and talking through your trades has helped you improve your own trades? Tough to measure, but I think quite a lot. Just because like I'm trying to drive home this fact of you have to appreciate the unknowns, especially like everyone is an amazing trader when you know the next bar. So when I talk with you guys, and this is a great question, I like to break down what decisions could we have made based on real-time actual information rather than like, I hate when people try to teach about trading when it's already played out. They're like, oh, this is what I did. And like, yeah, no, duh, man. You're teaching us about technicals and whatnot, already knowing where the chart's going to go so you can cherry pick good examples. I find that the best way and really the only reasonable way to teach about trading really truly is from real-time examples because that means altogether, none of us know the next bar. So I actually like it just because not only can you guys get a couple more insights into how I approach the market, it helps me in a secondary way where you guys could be like, yo, Matt, you taught us the other day and it seems like you're breaking your rules. So I think in terms of self-criticism, you guys are getting the tools to call me out when you know that I'm breaking my own trading mantra and ideas. So I think that's actually pretty helpful. I suppose that part of it is a little bit selfish, but yeah, I like that part of it. And I hope it, for you, I hope it starts to like really explain you have to be fair about the information that is available to you at that moment. Do you watch Wrench Capital at all? I don't, just because of like my own content schedule, but the things I've seen from Wrench in the past, I very much like him. I think he's a good guy. I think he knows what he's talking about, but I can't earnestly tell you I consume all of his content. I will when it pops up. Matt beat Wrench in an arm wrestling contest. That would never happen. That guy is a monster. He is physically large. I think not only would I lose it, I have a feeling he would like snap my arm. I think it would end very, very poorly for me. Very, very poorly. Here's a look at the flow. The Mag 7 may be finding a bottom at the turn of the hour, but it also could be a little fake out like we saw before. Little fake out, little fake out, little fake out. Maybe this time we actually change. The S&P 500 jagged, no nice trend. When you don't see a nice flow, it like a nice directional trend, like this is tough. We vomited all over the map. Another vomit, a large pop, a huge drop, pop, and then even this. Look at this pop from 1105 to now. Huge pop, and then just gets clocked again. It's not easy. It is not easy. Oh, who knows? Trend is not a strong one. We tie that. Maybe we put in a shoulder, head, shoulder, inverse shoulder, head, shoulder. Maybe we bounce off of 700. Like I said, you got to take out 706 without it breaking this recent low. And right now, once again, it comes back to like, what can you fairly measure in real time? And you don't know how deep this pull is going to be. Like this right here, we ran all the way up to that key level. No surprise, people reacted to it. Kind of a sell order block and then a little bit of a bounce. So people reacting to it, once again, buying it all the way back up to that level. And all I could tell you is we're at a key level. If this breaks that, not so good. We did break it. Gets notably bad if we snap the intraday low, which happens to be tagged at 1104. However, if we turn around, well, now we have equal highs and a higher low. That could be a little bit of a cup and handle. So right now, like, just freeze frame. This is the exact information you have. You could easily argue that this is bullish or bearish. And then when it plays out, people are like, I told you so. That's a cup and handle. Clearly it's bullish. It's inverse shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulders, like whatever. And then other people would be like, no, it's a double top rejection. And we puked. Like, why would you possibly go long? That was an evident short. But in reality, you just don't know. This could be a higher low. If we start to push back up, this is a higher low than here. However, if we just continue vomiting straight down, like the next bar, this is always based on the next bar, which no one can predict the next bar. Fuck. I wish we could, though. My life would be a lot less stressful. Also, the other case that we haven't really spoken about is the chance of it just going to a key level, such as 6,700, and just getting pinned there. That's a whole nother thing that the world needs to consider, is gamma pinning. Apple is catching a bid here. Tesla hopefully has stopped vomiting. Palantir's catching a bid. NVIDIA maybe putting in a higher low. Microsoft got... There has to be news on Microsoft. That one got murked. What the fuck happened there? Whoa. Starting at 1050, Microsoft just destroyed. Someone sold a bunch of calls. They weren't betting against it. It was a bunch of calls got sold, removing a lot of positive delta. Does anyone know the news on Microsoft? Anyone at all? I could search it, but in reality, I'm afraid to click away from my own charts. MSFT. I'm not some breaking out of the some potential partnership. Nothing evident is like jumping out to. Oh fuck! This is not gonna. Nope. It seems as if this bear trend is still fully intact, and I'm the asshole who's been fighting the trend all fucking day. Oh, poor play. Poor play. I should have cut one. Should have cut one. Could have added another one in. My average, instead of being 86, would be 50, and it's trading at 35. I'd almost be back to break even. And in fact, at one point, I could have probably dumped. Yeah, that was too much going on. I was not reacting as quickly or properly as I should. But looks like this. Yeah, I mean, look at the Microsoft sell-off and look at my cursor, how that aligns with where the SPY and the Qs really started to get hit. But now that Microsoft has maybe stopped and found its bottom at 512, that might offer a little bit of relief. But also, please understand that I am grasping for straws at this point. So if you're wondering, does he have a bias? Is he looking at this objectively? Dude, I'm looking for anything to hold on to. He is. Past match should trade in the future. Dude, I wish. I wish. Well, we'll see how lucky I do or don't get. We'll see how lucky I either do or don't get. I just need a classic 70-point fucking bounce. Jesus, that's a dipshit trade on my part. Old dipshit Matt. That's the name of the stream today. Old dumb fuck Matt. Where are we at? Oh. We try to get above 6,700. Smacked. And even here, we got pinned to it for a second, but now it doesn't look like it wants that much of a follow through. Mag 7, hang on. 11:05 till now. It is trending up. Maybe the turn of the hour at 11 here. That it's steady. But granted, we also went from 10 to 10:10. So there was 15 minutes here of it going up. So if it can hold, if it keeps continuing, you just don't know when it's going to turn, though. And then the SPY looks drunk. Mag 7 is at least flat. At least it's not vomiting. But look at the SPY. It has no idea what it wants to do. No, the market doesn't know what's up. It doesn't know if it should be buying at 6,700. It doesn't know if it should be selling here. It doesn't know. No one knows. I guess the government shut down, which means all the trend following bots are also turned off because this isn't doing shit right now. Qs have been basically range bound ever since 940. Even though it's a large range, it's a range nonetheless. The SPY was range bound, got clocked, and now it's just, even though we're technically in the red, it's just getting pinned to this key level of 6,700, which means hopefully you traded smarter than me, as in doing nothing, and you're just waiting around for the opportunity to set up, because it might be setting up here if this recovers. If we push 6,700, yeah, you could risk 6,697. You could risk 6,695. I would say your odds are 50-50 and your risk is low and your reward is high if we get a full recovery. Possible, but we're also just not seeing it yet. We're not really seeing. Mag 7, I am seeing a little bit of strength. SO, it popped a little. You'd want that to continue. So, like, you just have to be patient. There's no point in just randomly trading. Pay attention to risk. If you can potentially catch a new trend, Apple just got hit. If you could potentially catch a new trend with minimal risk, that's the name of the game, and you're just doing it time and time again. Assume half the time you're going to be wrong, and that means, unlike me, when it shows the sign of trend switching against you, don't be dumb like me and just get the fuck out. That's what you got to do. But for right now, we're not doing anything of note. We're not doing anything of interest, and we're very rapidly approaching the doldrums of the lunch trading period. So I beg of you, do not trade unless you see a setup that you actually like and all the things that you look at are aligning, rather than just randomly thinking, this is the top, this is the bottom, I'm going to buy, I'm going to sell. Don't do that. Don't be like me. Be better than me. But on that note, since things are slowing down, I think we're going to call it here today. Of course, later on Twitter, I'll let you know how this plays out. Right now, I did lock in a gain. I have a gain of 500 or 600, but the current position is down 2K. So I'm down net 1.5. So if this recovers and doesn't dip the current low, I have a real shot of making money today. However, if we start to dip, there's a shot that I'm net down 2K, which means I'm going to be giving back most of my gains from yesterday, which I was up 3K per account. So obviously on the week, I'd still be up, but no one likes to take that big of a loss. So in an effort to be transparent and honest, I will tweet out how it goes. I'll send you the screenshot and all that stuff so you can see. But also I could just tell you that if we don't make a fresh low from here, if the 11 a.m. low, like right past 11 a.m., if that's the low of the day, good. I have a real shot of being green. However, if we are continuing with the current trend that we are seeing now in the S&P 500 and we crack those lows, well, you can assume that my number is going to be a big red number and it's going to piss me off. So that's where we're at. I guess my fortune is in the hands of these market gods. We will be posting an update video later on today, and then we're going to be streaming once again tomorrow to celebrate the first Friday of October. We were supposed to get the unemployment numbers, but that's not true. So instead, we'll just have fun with a classic Payday Friday. So update video tonight, Payday Friday stream tomorrow morning. That's what I have for you. Best of luck. I hope you make a bunch of money. I'll catch you later. Peace.